Hello, vinyl community. Dave, the pickup artist, with you for another round of Psychedelic Sunday, where the cost of one admission is your mind. And you can now use Apple Pay. We've got some great new pickups this week, so let's jump right in. The first one I got is Lynn County. These cats were from Iowa. Then they, of course, went to San Francisco. That's where it was happening. And this came out in 1968. They got a recording deal. And the name of the album is Proud Flesh Soothsayer.
In his 80s. I mean, this guy was old. I asked him to pass me the salt and pepper. He had to make 2 trips.
Like the band is made up to be mimes or something like that. As most of you know, I've got a history with mimes. Yeah, this is good stuff. These guys were kind of like Traffic. There's a guy in here who plays alto and soprano sax, and he also plays flute, which makes the album sound a lot like Traffic. But this album has more guitar freakouts, which is pretty cool. The guitar player is proficient on guitar and sitar. There's some sitar on here, and yeah, this is a good pickup. And this was a cheap heat also. Lynn County from Iowa originally. Cool stuff. And it is on Mercury. I don't know if the other 2 albums are. They put out, like I said, they put out 3 albums, or 2 albums after this one, and called it quits. Next one I have is the first album from the Incredible String Band. Glad to finally pick this up. This is a Sunday's reissue. And this is the original 3-piece lineup. Mike Herron, Robin Williamson, and Clive Palmer.
Space nearly parts and nearly joins. Love's magic song moans through our loins.
I know I'm getting, at my age, I want 2 girls at once, you know. And if I fall asleep, they got each other to talk to.
And the light was fading dimly, and the sky was crying. And the light was fading dimly, and the sky was crying.
Now, after they put this album out, they kind of, but basically they broke up. They, one guy stayed in London, another guy, Clive Palmer, I believe it's this guy, he took the hippie trail, the one that goes up to Afghanistan. If some of you are familiar with the Craig Smith saga, yeah, this guy did about the same thing. And a lot of people were doing that. And why they would leave swinging London in the late 60s to go to Afghanistan, I have no idea. You would think it would be the end for these guys, but one guy came back, and the guy came back, went to Morocco, and he came back with all these unusual, almost prehistoric instruments, including a thing called a grimmy, which is like a 3-string bass made of like balsa wood or something, which eventually got eaten by rats, according to the story. And they, after this album, they kind of reformed with Williamson and Heron, and they kind of brought in their girlfriends at one point. And after this, they put out their masterpiece, the Onion album. Yeah, finally glad to get this one in.
America is out of the World Health Organization.
Next up, we've got Deep Purple's self-titled third album. First of all, the cover. This cover is actually a popular piece of artwork. Another band called Pearls Before Swine actually used this cover also. But yeah, this is their third album with their Mark I lineup.
We got us a big barbecue to start things off tonight.
And at this point, they were still psychedelic. The bands like Deep Purple and Yes, their first albums were psychedelic. Their first few albums were psychedelic. Then they went, in the case of Deep Purple, they went on a hard rock direction. And yeah, this is another great one. And they were on, this is an original, on the Tetragrammaton label, which was a label that was owned by Bill Crosby, of all people, an American label. And they, after this album, they left the label after they caught Bill putting roofies in Richie Blackmore's Jell-O. So yeah, they left. And this is, it's another great album.
The sensation is not new to you. It's something we all have known. You get it, it goes right through you. Yes, it's something we all have known. And the bird in the
Have this in my collection. I have the first two on CD, and half of my Deep Purple are on CD, half of them are on album. But I also, about 2 years ago, I found a copy of this single from the album, the Deep Purple self-titled album of Emeretta was the single, and the B-side was This Bird Has Flown. And this is off the album. So this is another mother and child reunion. I'll have to put this one with the album. But Great album. Now the big mystery with Deep Purple is whatever happened to Rod Evans. Now he was let go. They brought in Ian. Then Rod joined up with a band called Captain Beyond, and they put out, I think, 2 albums, and then basically Rod just disappeared. What we do know is at one point he was working as a respiratory therapist in Northern California, and in 1980 he was approached by an unscrupulous promoter who specialized in band tours with less than the original members. So he actually arranged for Rod Evans to go on tour as Deep Purple. This is 1980, and he did. He took him up on it. Apparently other members were asked to participate, but the only one that did was Rod, and he went on tour. And when he did the songs that were popular by Ian Gillan, they were bombs, and he ended up getting pelleted with stuff. And after that, he was never basically heard from again. Nobody knows where he's at. It's rumored he lives in California. I heard that one of the members of Captain Beyond, I think his name is Caldwell, had the last conversation. We had a few conversations with him back in the 2000s or something, but nobody knows where he's at, if he's still alive, or I think if he's still alive, I think he's probably in his 80s, maybe.
Why don't you stop playing with yourself, Willie?
Next, I've got a soundtrack, a blaxploitation soundtrack, Superfly, Curtis Mayfield.
Going strong, a lot of things going on. The man in the eye has an earthquake power. The dudes have envied him for so long. Oh, Superfly.
Blood Eaters, rated R.
Get 2 discs. We get the original album, plus we get another album with singles, instrumental demo versions of the songs that ended up on the album, radio spots, and demos, and just great stuff.
Fuck you, Wolfie baby.
Hi, this is Curtis Mayfield. Sit down and take a listen. This may be something that you're missing. I know your mind, you want it funky, but you don't have to be no junkie. Get yourself together. Remember, Freddie's dead.
Great inner cover. And this has got a lot of cool extras. We get a cool poster. And a cool mat cover. How about that?
I was born.
Really?
No respect. The doctor picked me up and smacked me. I found out the nurse, you got a few in too.
59 years ago today, the Beatles recorded their song, She Said, She Said. It's a John Lennon song, and they apparently recorded it in one take, from what I read. I believe that's what I saw, but yeah, they recorded it in one day and released it on their legendary Revolver album. So the way the song came about was Beatles were coming off their American tour, and they were staying at a place in Benedict Canyon that was rented by Brian Epstein. First day there, they thought that we'd have a kind of a pool party, and they invited some friends, including the Byrds, Roger McGuinn, David Crosby of the Byrds, some actresses, and it was kind of a media frenzy. People got word of where the Beatles were staying, and there was a security issue. There was a helicopter flying overhead, and apparently a couple people snuck in, managed to get into the house. One of them was a young actor named Peter Fonda. Now, at this point, 65, Peter wasn't a household name. He was just started his acting career. The band, of course, they decided to take acid. Now, John Lennon and George Harrison had previously taken acid earlier in the year, but this time around they wanted to get Ringo and Paul into the acid realm. They tried to get those two to drop acid with them, and they managed to get Ringo to do it, but Paul McCartney wasn't having any of it. This is 65. Paul was an LSD virgin, if you will. George Harrison was having like a bad trip, and Peter Fonda was talking some nonsense about a time where he actually shot himself and he almost died. And he brought up strange lines like, "I know what it's like to be dead," and stuff like that. And John Lennon was not having any of it. John Lennon, apparently, according to an interview years later, he thought that Fonda was boring, and he was kind of morbid with his Tales from the Crypt stories, and he eventually asked Fonda to leave the party. Yeah, that's where Lennon got the idea for She Said, She Said, from this conversation by a young actor named Peter Fonda. Lennon apparently didn't care for Peter Fonda. The best Beatles album, probably. And that's all we got this week, folks. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care.